Hello everyone, I am Naman Himmat Ramka from Sardar Patel Institute of Technology and I am here to review the book An Era of Darkness, The British Empire in India by Shashi Tharoor. So something about the author. Shashi Tharoor is an author of many bestsellers, diplomat and a politician who strives to preserve India's authority by expressing the details. He has been featured in multiple magazines worldwide and as a speaker tries to tell the story behind India's lack of functionality. Shashi is also a member of the parliament. Purpose. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of unanswered questions regarding the Indo British history, leading about the Indian history and the sacrifices and the devastating conditions of a fellow people before the independence, along with the fight to independence, ignites a feeling of pride and helps to live the moments which we didn't witness ourselves. The book is more about the details of the officials and how an overload of false and forged documents deprived Indians of their rights. Why should one lead an era of darkness? Well, it's not just India, but the world has always been prone to violence and territorial expansionism. The battle for interest is a part of our subconscious mind, and many empires, such as the British one, took things too far by fully depriving the conquered people of its belonging and rights. An era of darkness reveals the horrors and atrocities committed by the British invaders and how they managed to crush India from within. This is not to make people hold a grudge against the current Britishers, but just to give information of what people have been through for the life we have today. The beginning of the end. The plight of many Indians is not just a topic to be so easily scanned through. For people of the outside world in the 18th century, India was a free marketplace for the British who needed labor, jewelry, silk, valuable metals, you name it. For those that don't know, India participated in the world trading community with an astonishing 23% in the 18th century, making it the world's most material rich nation. Nonetheless, the British conquest, backed by the larger and superior British force, managed to defeat and overthrow the Indian rulers who fought for self-government and freedom. A throwback to an era before the British rose to power. Tired of the ruling elite of the Mughal Empire, many provinces of India stepped aside and formed their own alliances. The British East India Company took advantage of the political instability at that time and slowly, one by one, managed to conquer all regions through bribery, treachery, and mostly threat. Deindustrialization and accentuate British dominance. The key to capitalist success was to weaken the Indian economy by placing restrictions on the industries that flourished. Prior to British reign, Indian textiles and other goods were high in demand throughout the world. As it turns out, India was crushed and became an importer from Britain instead of exporter with many things to offer on the global market. At the expense of their own industries, India fueled the soul of the British economy and helped them to establish superiority on a worldwide scale. Shipping and shipbuilding industrial breakdown. East India Corporation strived to gain a monopoly over trading and thus impose its will overseas. In order to do that, seizing control over the long coastline was a priority. The trade relations between Indians and other nearby nations suddenly vanished when the British destroyed the ships and sank the shipbuilding industry by the 1850s. For those that still wanted to export goods through the Bay of Bengal, the British dictated tariffs that were impossible to meet. The need for more ships shattered as the British lost control over all industries and presented its hegemony over the subdued Indian nation. The deep economic malaise brought India to its knees as nothing more than a poor and industrially weakened nation. Opinions differ on United India. Most Westerners believe that Indian clans, regions, or provincial kingdoms were united thanks to Britain. What comes as a surprise to these figures is that India always considered itself to be one state, with extended reach throughout Asia. Generally speaking, British rule was just one big robbery, perfectly orchestrated and perceived through the lens of industrial advancement which never came. The bureaucracy imposed on various regions with total disregard of the people's cultural system made many people landless peasants on the verge of extinction. Farmers who previously worked their lands to make a living were banished from the shelters and forced into collectivized poorness. Free press. Many misconceptions and misinterpretations flow regarding the British introduction of free press. As you all know, mainstream media is a great way to influence the masses, and as a result, the East India Corporation enacted a law in 1799 to gain full control over the information distributed to the people. The media appeared free, but many journalists and editors were jailed for criticizing the state. They were labeled as aggressive newspapers which didn't comply with the counts present in the Act. The British realized that the press could constitute a threat to their rule and slowly started to suppress its influence. The first and primary target was the local newspapers, which had to put up considerable deposits to continue their work. On the other hand, the imperialistic media was free to continue the publishing process and support the regime. British contribution to starvation. Although Britain will never publicly admit the atrocities committed by them during the reign, it's estimated that over 30 million people died as a direct result of bad policies. What's even worse, these crimes are actually avoidable, and according to many Indians, this orchestrated disaster deserves to be perceived as the untold Holocaust. If the British authorities provided aid to the victims of the famine, the entire Indian population would have demanded the same treatment. Therefore, they wisely chose not to take part in such activities and deprived the Indians of everyday necessities. In 1943, the British launched the last drought, also known as the Bengal famine, by stocking up the supplies for the war campaign. They planned to support their troops in Europe. In addition, the British rejected American and Canadian aid and did nothing to help the victims. British contribution to illiteracy. When it comes to education, India has a long history of success in mathematics, science, architecture, and other branches. The British rulers didn't modernize the Indian education system, as many like to believe. They even induced informational stagnation to strengthen their grip on power. There were a lot of universities thrown up all around the country in Vikramashila, Nalanda, Somapura, Mahavira, Odantapuri, which matched the European education centers in all regards. The teacher to student learning method was also highly popular among Indians, regardless of the cultural diversity in the country. Even those that managed to push their way through the obstacles were cast aside by the system and positioned in the lower tiers of the Indo-British society. So, here we are at the end. Here are some key lessons from this book. The positive sides of the British rule. It's not easy to draw positives from this bloody reign, but the British introduced railways and modernized the Indian army. Truthfully, they did all that for the personal benefits, but it's something that prompted progression. GDP collapse. When the British came to power, India was forced to be reckoned with. On the worldly arena, 23% of the world GDP speaks for itself. In 1949, that number plummeted to just 3%, and it unveiled the facade behind the two-century reign of Britain. Thank you. This was my review about the book. If you liked it, please like the video and leave a comment below. Thank you.